Hey everybody, welcome back to another news roundup. Hope you guys been enjoying the content channel as of late. This should be a really short one because I only got like 3 topics this week, so we're gonna go through these fairly quickly, just because I don't have a whole lot to say on these topics. So we're just gonna cut this short, and we're just going to dive right on in. So, of course, coming off the weekend, we had the latest offering from Pixar in the form of Elio, which me and my brother did a review for, or I did a review for. Um, so it came out. Also came out the same weekend, was 28 years later, but we'll be talking about those movies uh, in the box office recap. For the news roundups, we just talk about the major releases and anything significance that happened there. And according to the box office for Elio, there is definitely significance that came with this movie, because Elio, according to reports, has opened to a terrible global debut of $35 million, marking it the worst opening ever for a Pixar film. That title was previously given to Elemental, which also turned to not make much money, but Elio has now broken that. The production costs for Elio amount to at least $150 million, and according to some articles, the marketing expenses carry a, quote, hefty price tag, so we can take a guess here and probably say that the costs were at least $100 million. So, as a general investment, if the expenses are confirmed, the costs, just the cost for the entire investment, it sits around $250 million. So as a whole, as an investment, the movie will need to make at least $750 million to break even. And if we were just going by a simple 2 times ratio, it'd have to do 500 million. Yeah. Clearly not going to happen. This was a crucial point in Pixar's developments. According to some articles I read, this was kind of a fork in the road type of deal. If Elio were to prove well, they might actually invest more into original content. But if it were to go the other way, which it has, they're going to be kind of staying away from that for a little while. So expect more sequels from Pixar. Expect a hell of a lot more sequels, because their original content has just not been pulling through as much lately. There was Elemental, and now we have Elio, which is a massive flop in the making. So, and this is not the year of Disney. I mean, I read a report somewhere that was talking about just financial results from this year so far, and I think it was the Hollywood Reporter, and they were saying that this is the year of Disney, and I'm like, no way. I mean, it's been a rough time for the company right now. They have multiple failures to contend with. Captain America, Thunderbolts, Snow White, infamous, just Snow White, probably the biggest flop of the year, biggest flop in many years actually. And now we have Elio, which might in fact take the cake as their biggest loss, maybe. Because, I mean, Snow White, by just sheer amount of for production and all that, yeah, I mean, that may qualify as their worst. But by just literal money that is being made, Snow White, I think, went off to do what, like 100 or 200 million? Just to fact check real quick. Because it's not doing well. I mean, Snow White, it opened to at least like 200 million. And I don't necessarily see that happening in the case of Elio, because I mean, if you're opening that low, the probability of you making like those numbers, like 200 million, is like seriously low. It'd be at best probably like 100 million, but we'll see. But this is definitely a bomb, definitely a massive bomb for the company, and yeah, it sucks too because I thought Elio was a good film, and I would like to see Pixar tackle more original content in the future, but clearly that is not going to be the case. So strap in because more sequels and remakes and stuff are definitely on the way, which is pretty unfortunate. So, speaking of sequels, we have one sequel that will not be happening, and that is Transformers 1. So, according to a Q&A at a Transformers convention, Josh Cooley, who directed Transformers 1, he has confirmed that Paramount Pictures is not moving forward with a sequel. The other planned installment for the franchise, the crossover between Transformers and G.I. Joe, it's had no updates since its announcement last year. So, excuse me, my voice just kind of went weird. This isn't really surprising. I mean, given how it did financially, which was pretty poor, I'm not surprised at all. But what I think is noteworthy about it is the fact that there has been no news regarding the franchise now for almost an entire year. And given no real progress, at least on the series now for this amount of time, I wouldn't be surprised if the studio is really done with the series because they've done all they really can with it, and it's not proven them to be financially stable as it once was. The live action movies have been fading. Most recently Rise of the Beast didn't perform all that well, and then they tried to expand out to animation, and that didn't work either. It didn't really resonate. So I think what's going to happen, it's probably going to be announced maybe sometime this year or next year, depending on what the mentality is now with the series. I just think they're personally done. And I think that they're going to sell off the rights, the film rights, to another distributor. And yeah, because I just think at this point Paramount is calling it quits. Because there really isn't anywhere else they can go without the fear, or having to combat the fatigue of the series, and also just realizing that there isn't really another form that you can take with the series that hasn't shown to be a financial risk. The live action films have not worked now. Animation clearly doesn't work. So you're kind of left with little options. So they might just sell off, or they might just, relieve the rights. Might just leave the series to fade maybe for another year or two, and then have the rights be sold. I don't know, but yeah, or maybe Hasbro will pull out from the studio and seek out a different distributor. Who knows? But yeah, I just will not be shocked to hear the rights sold off potentially sometime this year or next year. Just would not shock me at this point, given how the series has just really crumbled in the past couple of years. So, alrighty, we have one trailer to discuss for today, and then we're going to call it a day. So the trailer we're going to discuss briefly is for the upcoming biopic called Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. This is starring Jeremy Allen White, who is playing Bruce Springsteen, also starring Jeremy Strong, Paul Walter Hauser, and Stephen Graham. This is being written and directed by Scott Cooper, who's made films such as Crazy Heart, Black Mass, and Antlers most recently. This has a release date for October 24th, 2025, and usually in the spirit of these kinds of movies, I'm not particularly interested because it always rattles the same sort of stories of, someone making it into fame, they get lost in it, and then they have to rediscover their artistic merit and just their identities. I've seen those stories play out time and time again. So it's honestly a little surprising for me to say that I'm actually kind of digging the framework of this story, because it's not going for the typical narratives that you'd find within these musician type of stories, the whole gaining fame and losing yourself stuff. It doesn't seem to be going that direction. It appears to be telling a story of a distant relationship between a father and a son, and how music actually helps the artist heal. So with that kind of framework, I'm honestly kind of interested, and especially with the talent involved in front and behind the camera. I've seen Jeremy Allen White in a few clips from Shameless, and he seems like a commendable actor. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. It's such an exhausting genre, or at least just an exhausting story, just narratively. It seems so worn out at this point. But it seems like there's something potentially fresh to the palate with the specific telling of this story. So it looks promising. I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for this. Definitely curious to see how this all shapes up. But yeah, those are my thoughts for this week, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Just little bite-sized thoughts because it's kind of a slow week in terms of news, but yeah, let me know your thoughts on the disastrous box office for Elio. Let me know how you feel about that, what the future of Pixar is probably going to be now. Your thoughts on no sequel to Transformers 1, what your guys' thoughts on the future of Transformers might be in terms of film, and your guys' thoughts on the Bruce Ding biopic, if you guys are interested to see it. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.